can't do this. I'm not a good public speaker. If I mess up, everyone is going to judge me. My speech is not as good as the rest of my classmates. If people see how nervous I am, they'll think that I'm unprepared. That is the mindset that I've had all year long when thinking about this speech. Today, I'm here to tell you why I believe that your mindset plays a significant role in determining your life's outcome. Mindset, what does that word even mean? The definition of a mindset is a habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. Mindsets are extremely important and something that we all have, even if we don't realize it all the time. It's more than just a way of thinking. It can act as a lens through which you view the world, and influencing how you interpret situations, respond to challenges, and make decisions. It affects your efforts, motivation, resilience, learning, and even your relationships. Ultimately, it can create your realities by shaping your thoughts, feelings, and your behaviors. But since mindset alone is a very broad topic, and I only have roughly 12 minutes to speak today, I'm going to be focusing on two terms created by Stanford professor Carol Dweck, fixed and growth mindset. Now, some of you have maybe never heard of these terms before, so let me explain. A fixed mindset is the belief that intelligence, talents, and other abilities are unchangeable, whereas a growth mindset is the belief that abilities can improve through effort and learning. People with fixed mindsets fear failure, have reduced motivation, and believe their abilities cannot improve, which can overall limit personal growth. Now, those with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges, learn from mistakes, and persist in the face of difficulties. A growth mindset can lower your stress, give you the motivation to improve, enhance your resilience and self-esteem, help you achieve academically, and give you an overall more positive well-being. With a growth mindset, you know you can improve over time, which can make you more open to learn and grow from the challenges that you face. Because those with a growth mindset view failure as less threatening, they are more willing to take a risk and embrace their mistakes as an opportunity to improve. As I stated before, the two terms fixed and growth mindset were created by Stanford professor Carol Dweck in her study of mindset theory. Her work on mindset began in 1970 after observing differences in children's reactions to challenges and setbacks. According to Stanford.edu, her observations led her to consider whether one's approach to challenges depends on how they interpret the meaning of failure. Were they discouraged by it, or were they motivated? Dweck found that individuals build an entire psychology of motivation around the mindset that they hold. Carol and other researchers studied the mindsets of students from all ages, from preschoolers to students getting ready to enter junior high, although she mainly focused on the older children. Dweck discovered that children with fixed and growth mindsets have completely different beliefs about effort. The children with the growth mindset believed effort to be one of the most important things for achievement, while on the other hand, those with a fixed mindset believed effort to be negative, that if you had the ability, you shouldn't need to put in the effort. The children with the growth mindset believed effort. Those with the growth mindset responded with strategy-oriented, resilient explanations, and those with fixed mindset responded with explanations of resignation. But Dweck finally came to the conclusion that the children who worried less about seeming smart or talented and put more effort into their learning consistently had the better results. But don't think that just because I talked about a study having to do with only children, that this doesn't apply to people of all ages. If you are interested in knowing more about Carol Dweck and her research about mindsets, I encourage you to check out her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. In her book, she goes way more into depth about everything that I'm talking about today. Having a growth mindset can be pretty challenging at times. Trust me, I would know. I tend to have a fixed mindset more than I would like. Being a teenager in today's society is very hard, and I catch myself constantly comparing myself to the people online or even the people around me, and how they all seem like they're in the right place and look like they have their life all figured out, and that I should be doing more to catch up with the people my age. Throughout high school, the one thing that has consistently stressed me out is my future, especially when everybody is constantly asking, what do you want to do with your life? Or where are you going to college? It seemed like everyone around me at least had some sort of idea, and I had nothing. I never wanted to talk about it because those questions were like a reminder that I was failing. Throughout writing this speech, I realized the reason I was so scared was because I was viewing my future through a fixed mindset and focusing on all the things that I thought I couldn't do. And now, I'm starting to see the future through a growth mindset, and I've become excited about all the new things I'm going to learn how to do and all the new ways I'm going to grow and improve. As I've gotten older, I've realized it's gotten easier to shift my mindset in some ways when I catch myself doing something I thought I would never be able to do even a few years ago. When I was in 8th grade, I remember my very awesome science teacher, Mr. Kuhn, telling our class about a new speech class they were doing with the seniors that year, and that the class was going to consist of writing your own speeches and presenting them in front of the class. And at the end of the year, we were going to have to give a 10 to 15 minute speech in front of our whole class with parents, teachers, and a panel of people to ask you questions. I remember being instantly terrified. My fixed mindset told me that I'm not a good public speaker, and there's no way I could ever do that. And while I sat in class that day, I tried to figure out all kinds of ways that I could get out of that when I'm finally a senior. As a 14-year-old girl who couldn't give a presentation without shaking, having a whole class entirely about speaking in front of others seemed impossible. I never really gave the class much thought after that until junior year, and that was when I started to view the class in a new mindset. I was still pretty nervous, seeing as how the seniors were always stressed about their upcoming speeches, but I started to tell myself that if all the seniors from previous years were able to survive this class, so could I. From watching the seniors last year, I was able to envision myself in this class and realize that this class is going to be challenging, but it's going to be good for me. And I became excited to improve in an area I thought I could never be good at, public speaking. At the beginning of my senior year, speech class made me extremely anxious because I knew all the scary things it had in store. But as time went on, I started to love the class more, except for phone call and impromptu Fridays, of course. This whole year, Mr. Lindemann kept us aware of our end of the year senior presentations and how we always want to be working towards them. He would occasionally show us videos from previous years, and I always thought the same thing. There's no way I can speak in front of that many people for 12 minutes. But Mr. Lindemann kept telling us that filling the time wouldn't be a problem and that we might have to work more towards cutting the time than adding it. And I always thought that he was just saying that so that we wouldn't freak out about it. But as I started working on the speech, I realized that he was right. Finishing the speech is something that I thought I would never be able to accomplish. But here I am speaking in front of all of you today. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a pro at public speaking or that it's easy for me now, because it's definitely not. Mindset is not about the things becoming easier, it's about not being scared to fail and knowing and telling yourself that you can do it. It's about being open to doing the things that you know are going to be hard and challenging for you, but not being afraid to put in the effort anyways, and to learn from the mistakes you make. Speech class has truly helped me improve in so many ways, and if I constantly have a fixed mindset and don't try to put in effort to something that I know is going to be challenging, I would never grow or improve. As time has gone on, I've realized that I can do the things that have once seemed so impossible to accomplish. Doing this speech inspired me to set a new goal for myself. I'm going to stop approaching things with a fixed mindset and approach it with a growth mindset, because I have made it through every challenge, setback, and even failure. Now, people with a fixed mindset think their abilities are unchangeable. So this means that they might also think that their mindset is unchangeable. However, your mindset can be changed. In fact, our brains are actually designed for us to change. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and adapt by forming new connections and reorganizing itself through life, allowing it to learn, recover from injury, and adapt to new experiences. It supports a growth mindset by showing that our abilities are not fixed and our brains can be molded through learning and through practice. When people practice a growth mindset and aren't afraid to try challenging things, their brains respond by creating new neural pathways and strengthening the existing ones. Our brains are designed for us to change, develop new skills, and to overcome challenges. You can choose to shift your mindset by just incorporating a few simple things to your daily life and consciously choosing to believe your characteristics and you as a person can grow over time. One of the main ways I believe you can change your mindset is by changing the way that you talk to yourself. If you constantly are thinking negative things or telling yourself, I can't do this, or I make too many mistakes, or everyone else is better than me, then you most likely won't be able to accomplish anything, because using those phrases are limiting yourself and your abilities. Instead of speaking negatively about yourself, you can change those phrases to thoughts like, I can use my mistakes and learn from them, or even incorporating the word yet into your vocabulary. Next time you think you can't do something, try telling yourself, I can't do it yet. Using the word yet allows you to not limit yourself, and it helps give you hope that you eventually can do the things you want to accomplish. Your thoughts and the things you put into your brain matter way more than you think. Other helpful things can be to set goals for yourself and to view your challenges as an opportunity to grow instead of seeing it as a setback. If you take one thing from the speech, let it be, don't limit yourself. Staying within the boundaries of a fixed mindset will only hold you back from finding out how much you actually can accomplish. I challenge you all to shift your mindset, embrace growth, and push past your comfort zone. And with a growth mindset, you won't just imagine what's possible, you'll start to discover just how far you really can go. You may not know how much you're capable of achieving yet, but don't let your mindset be the reason you never find out.
Really great job, Ashlyn. It's really funny because I kept thinking of questions that I was going to ask you, and as you kept going, you answered, I think, every single one of my questions. So I have no questions, but congratulations, because this is a really, really big achievement. I remember being super stressed out. We were the first class that did the speeches.
It was your class that made me scared.
I'm sorry, I know. But it really is such a huge accomplishment, and you did so amazing. I feel like I'm over here taking notes about how this can apply to my own life. So it really had such an impact, and you just accomplished something really significant. So you should feel so proud. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a really good job, and the same thing, I was, how can I apply this to my life? But I have a question for you. Is there one other thing perhaps you've applied the growth mindset to in your life?
I think just with everything, honestly, like day-to-day life, it's so easy for us to like view things as a hard thing to do and to not try just because we think we can't do it. And so I've started to catch myself like saying those phrases in my mind, like if it's a school project or if it's like a job interview or going somewhere like new, I just tell myself like, oh, that's really scary, I can't do that. But like recently I've been trying to tell myself I can do it, I'm just scared and I need to do it, but yeah.
I put that yet in there.
Yeah.
Good job.
Ashlyn, good job. I really appreciated how you touched on self-talk, because I know that that's a big thing with everybody. Coming from the church, I would like to ask you a question. Here's a follow-up question to all of your research.
Okay.
What is something that you would like the church to do to help students, teens, go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? What is something you think would be helpful from the church?
I think just encouraging them and like I said, like helping them realize to like the way that they talk to themselves, like you're not fixed in a mindset, like you can grow. There actually are some verses that I found in the Bible that like support what I'm saying. The first one is like Romans 12:2. That's our school verse of the year, and it tells you to not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be renewed by be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then in Ephesians, it tells us to be made new in the attitude of our minds. And in 2 Peter, it tells us to grow in grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ. So I think just finding those verses and like giving them to students, it might help encourage them and give them something to look at.
Great job. Excellent.
I would say that the best illustration that you had here was yourself. Sharing your story that this was your biggest dread, your biggest fear, you're trying to figure out how to get out of this. You embody the growth mindset because you've just crushed it. Your cadence, your eye contact with the audience, your hand gestures, the whole thing was like, you nailed this. I keep using the title of Jeff's new book, but you nailed this. And I think that to answer Rick's question too, what can the church do? We could show the video of what you just did to the youth group and say, do you guys get this? Because this is so important. This is so important. The question, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I'm going to grow and see where it goes. Anyway, good job.
Thank you.